It all started on August 6, 1945, when America dropped an atomic bomb on the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing over 150,000 people, some of which are women and children. Most of these people were ordinary civilians that had nothing to do with politics, America, or even about a war. The main reason these bombs were dropped was to force Japan into a quick surrender and reduce the amount of lives lost. In addition, this was also to stop and end World War II. Not only this, but people supportive of the bombings saw the necessity of the bombing the cities was to prevent an invasion from the Japanese. As the American military said, saving more lives than they took. On the other hand, Japan, instead of surrendering the first time, when the United States bombed Hiroshima, they gave up only after the bombing of Nagasaki, simply because they were unwilling to surrender unconditionally. Put shortly, Japan still wanted to rule their own way, meaning some emperor to be unoccupied by any other nation, and so on. These bombs not only affected the United States and Japan, but also the whole world. Most people responded with fear and shock, while most Americans responded with supportiveness, and some, like the Soviet Union, called the bombing of nuclear weapons a war crime, and they actually condemned it. When all said and done, people feared the rise of this new destructive weapon, especially because of the Cold War at the time. Some recognitions did come out of this though, like the power humanity could reach and how the United States only targeted cities with large military, and spared the culture of Japan, such as Tokyo. Like we mentioned earlier, most people feared what happened to Nagasaki and Hiroshima, but some were unsupportive and furious. For example, Stalin saying things like, "The balance has been destroyed." Stalin also got scared at one point and ordered people working on the Soviet nuclear project to be done faster, and he hurried them. Not only this, but a Cold War began between the United States and the Soviet Union. 2 years after the bombs on March 12, 1947. This made people even more agitated in fear of these two great powers turning a Cold War into a hot one. After realizing the powers, the newly attained countries later on signed treaties and agreements for the terms and conditions, like the Partial Test Ban Treaty, PTBT 1963, which was the first to approach on limiting nuclear weapons. This treaty banned nuclear testing in the atmosphere, ocean, and outer space, but not underground. Another advance to regulate nuclear weapons was the Comprehensive Nuclear Test Ban Treaty, CTBT 1996. This banned all nuclear use on any environment, including underground testing for military or civilian use, which was a huge step in 30 years.
Now, let's talk about what is actually inside a nuclear bomb and how it works. First, there is a fuel source, usually uranium or plutonium, and the fuel sources undergoes nuclear fusion, which is combining atoms to form a chain reaction, or nuclear fission by splitting atoms until they form a chain reaction. But either options won't work if there isn't enough mass to the bomb. Not only that, you must also figure out a way to trigger the chain reaction that makes the explosion in the first place. Atomic bombs are not that complicated, but also not very easy to build. Usually, you might make a nuclear bomb to send to your enemy, and was said before is how to make it in the first place, so you must figure out a way to build a missile or a way to transport the bomb to the desired location. Now, depending on how the bomb is detonated, it can use different kinds of damage. If the bomb explodes above ground, it is called an air burst. When this happens, the explosion creates a huge fireball, and since there is no ground to stop it, the fireball spreads out, causing more destruction over a larger area. This also helps to reduce radiation fallout because there's no ground debris that gets irritated. On the other hand, if the bomb explodes right on the ground, it causes more radioactive fallout, which is more dangerous because it stays around for a very long time, making it unsafe for people and the environment. So as you can see, while the idea of a nuclear bomb isn't super complicated, building one is very difficult. It takes a lot of science, planning, and resources to create something so powerful. But it's not just about making a bomb, it's also about how you use it and how you get it to where it needs to go.
The bombing caused a lot of pain and suffering for the people of Hiroshima. It also had long-lasting effects on the environment and people's health. Radiation sickness made many people very sick, and some people even developed cancer years later because of the radiation. The bombing didn't just affect Japan, it affected the whole world. People were shocked and scared that such a powerful weapon had been used. It also changed the way countries thought about war. Many leaders worried about the possibility of using more atomic bombs in the future, which could have destroyed the world. Because of what happened in Japan, people have become more responsible about using the great power they have because it could end up destroying entire cities full of lives. Some people's loved ones were in the massacre that transpired in Japan. Not only that, people's homes and the places they have made memories are wiped away because of someone else's mistakes. Although countries have developed and became more and more conscious about the power they hold, they also developed more powerful nuclear weapons. And if what happened to Japan happened today, it wouldn't just be the end of countries as we know it, it might be the end of the human race. As we advance, now just in case they made huge atomic bombs that might even be able to make a whole country into debris, that's why atomic bombs come with responsibility and people need a powerful leader to trust.
In the end, there was a lot of things we could have done to do better. It is true that nukes do a lot of damage, and most people say that they're only used for destruction and leveling cities. But if you think of the benefits, we could use them to mine for resources on asteroids or conduct research, but instead we used it on each other to prove something and people. And thousands of people died for that cause. Because of this action we've caused, it might have been the biggest mishandle in history, and being responsible about using it in the first place. This mistake of the past, but what we can do better today, and what makes this great is that the technology is 100 times better than it was, meaning 100 times deadlier, which gives us a chance to prove ourselves. Prove it the right way. One wrong mistake, one wrong move, and it could all be over for all of us. This isn't a matter of not my country, so not my business. Because in the end, enemy or ally, friend or foe, still take the hit of those nukes, so there is no point in even using them in the first place.